Hello all, I'm Sai and you're watching The Book Dragon. In today's video, I'm bringing to you my Prime Day book haul. I did a video on what books to buy during the Prime Day sale as well as some tips which I shared for buying during the same sale, and I used some of those tips which I was talking about and bought a lot of books during the sale. I have a total of 14 books here. So without wasting any more time, let's straight away dive into the books. The first book is a standalone fantasy and it is Good Omens by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. I've actually watched the show of this one on Prime Video before. I watched it in 2020, that is 2 years back, and I've been waiting for the second season ever since I finished watching the first season. It was very funny and it was very peculiar in its own way. The main reason why I bought this book is because I've read books by both of these authors before and I've loved both of them. They have a very peculiar sense of humor which just makes us laugh without being very on the face with it. The humor is very subtle yet very strong at the same time. I don't know how they do it, but I've experienced the same from both of these authors before. This book is basically about the supposed end of the world during which the forces of good and evil come against each other, and the four riders of the apocalypse have also reached Earth. The main reason for all of this going on is because the Antichrist, who was to be placed in one family and brought up, was accidentally placed under the care of another family. Because of this, the world is going to end, but there is just one angel and one demon alone who are not that fond with the idea of the world coming to an end. That's all I can say without spoiling the show as well as the book for you guys. Even I have not read the book, so it's going to be very new for me. Let's just wait and see how it's going to go. The next book is a literary fiction and it is by one of the most famous non-resident Indian authors, and it is The Namesake by Jhumpa Lahiri. Okay, I've seen only great things about this book everywhere, and because of that itself I have huge expectations for this one. Here we follow a main character named Gogol, who's named after an author, but he's not very fond of his name. At the same time, since he's residing in the US along with his parents, he has been brought up in a different way compared to his parents, and he wants to have a separate life of his own and also change his identity because he's not very fond of his name. I'm sure that some of you guys have read this one and have really strong thoughts on it, so please do let me know down in the comments what I can expect from this one. The next one is yet another standalone fantasy book, and it is The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. Here we follow a main character who's a little boy named Nobody. That's actually the name of the boy, Nobody. And the strange thing about Nobody is that he's been brought up in this graveyard and the people who actually bring him up are ghosts. I've heard really amazing things about this one also, okay? It's kind of a gothic fiction. At the same time, it has a lot of fantasy elements woven into it. Since it's Neil Gaiman, I don't have any doubts at all that I'm going to enjoy this book in some way or the other. I'm actually currently reading the Sandman graphic novels by him and I've started with the first volume. I think even the Netflix adaptation of that one is going to come out really soon. I just want to soak in some of his writing before I watch all of those adaptations and consume a lot more of his content. So I purchased this one also, and when I was flipping through the book I was able to see some illustrations, and if I'm not wrong, Chris Riddle is the one who has done the illustrations in this one also, just like in all of his other books. I'm sure that I'm going to read this very soon. Let's just wait and see how much I'm going to like it. The next book is by one of my favorite authors, and it is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I've read only two other books by this author, and I should say that both of them are like really amazing books, especially The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which is the most famous book by this author, is one of my all-time favorite books. And this is the only book in the sale for which I paid nearly 400 rupees to buy it, because the price of this one did not come down during the sale at all, but I don't have any complaints at all because I'm sure that this is going to be awesome in each and every way possible. Here we follow the story of a band named Daisy Jones and the Six, and because of some reason they have split up. After they have split up, they are interviewed, and this book is actually the interview of Daisy Jones and the Six as a whole. I've heard many people saying that Daisy Jones and the Six is even better than The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which I can't even imagine how it can be. I can easily say that my expectations for this one are sky high now itself, and I'm also very much excited to see the Prime Video adaptation of this one coming really soon. So yeah, Daisy Jones and the Six is the next book. The next one is a dark academia mystery novel, and it is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I remember the price of this book clearly from the sale because it was very cheap. I bought it for just 149 rupees, and usually it costs over 400-500 rupees because the book is super famous. At the same time, it is very huge. Personally, I have not read any mystery book which is over 300 or 400 pages in length because I don't think I'll be able to put up with that stress for that long. But with this book, I'm ready to put myself to a test and see whether I'm able to read such a huge mystery novel or not. I don't think I'll be able to sum up this book properly for you guys, so I'm just going to read out the blurb for you. Here it goes. Under the influence of their charismatic classics professor, a group of clever, eccentric misfits at an elite New England college discover a way of thinking and living that is a world away from the humdrum existence of their contemporaries. But when they go beyond the boundaries of normal morality, their lives are changed profoundly and forever. That sounds very intriguing to me. Let's just wait and see how it's going to go. The next one is a romance book, and it is Number 9 by Colleen Hoover. I've only read one other book by this author, which is It Ends With Us. I listened to the audiobook of that one in January and it was really good. Ever since I've been wanting to read a lot more books by this author, and I know that she has a very long backlist. I've heard that most of her books are just smutty romance, but I'm not that much interested in reading such kind of romances because it's just not my taste. Despite all those things, the reason why I bought this book is because it was available at a really great deal. It just cost me 99 rupees and I just went forward and bought it. I didn't even think twice. Here we follow our two main characters, Fallon and Ben, who accidentally meet each other on November 9th. On the last day, Ben is to be there in Los Angeles and he's to make a cross-country trip and move there completely. But they are attracted to each other because of that single meeting itself. Hence they decide to meet each and every year on November 9th itself, despite all the relationships and things that are going on in their lives. Ben is a novelist and he's using his life story with Fallon itself into a book, and whether it will be a romance book or not, even if it ends in a heartbreak, with the plot twist is the story of the book as well as the life story of Ben and Fallon. That does sound a bit complicated to me, so I'm definitely interested in reading it. The next one is a YA romance book, and it is You've Reached Sam by Dustin Thao. I first heard about this book from Jesse the Reader's videos, and I think I watched him talking about it in one of his favorite books from last year's video. And ever since I watched it, I've been very interested to read this book because it is not just a romance but also has a supernatural element going on with it. And another main reason why I want to read this book is because it is set up in Japan, and I'm just a sucker for stories that are happening inside Japan because I just love their culture. Here we follow our main character Julie, who's to move out with her boyfriend Sam after high school and continue on with their college in a city in Japan. But what happens before that is Sam dies and Julie is completely heartbroken. Just in order to hear his voice once again, she makes a call to his phone to hear his voice note. But what ends up happening is Sam picks up the phone and talks to her. Each and every time that she makes a call to him, it becomes even harder to let go of the past and move on further in her life. I've heard that it is very emotional and also very beautifully written. Since it's a supernatural story that is also set up in the current world, I want to see how the magical elements or the supernatural elements inside this book work, so I'm definitely going to read this very soon. The next one in this book haul is one of my all-time favorite books because I've listened to this as an audiobook and it has become my all-time favorite books then itself. It's been 2 years since I read this one, but I've not bought a physical copy of it until now. It is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. For some reason or the other, I've been putting off to buy this book physically for the past 2 years, and the reason why I bought it now is because my brother started listening to the audiobook just like me a month back, but he was not able to continue on with the audiobook because he said that he wanted to read this book physically. So I just used that as a reason and went forward and purchased the copy during this sale. I'm sure that I'm going to reread this also because ever since I received the book, I've been tempted to start my reread right away. Here we follow our main character Evelyn Hugo, who has been married 7 times before and she's very old right now after the end of her career, and she's well settled and she wants to tell out her real life story. So she invites this journalist named Monique and narrates her entire life story to her. It is an extremely well written book and Evelyn Hugo is definitely one of my all-time favorite characters. So if you're 18 above and not read The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo yet, just go forward and read it. I'm sure you'll not be disappointed at all. The next 2 books in this book haul are by my new favorite author, and the author I'm talking about is Alice Oseman. I have 2 of their books now and I'll just show you the books and I'll read the blurb out for you guys because I don't think I'll be able to sum up the plot of these books without going on side tracks. So the 2 books are I Was Born for This and Loveless, which is her recent release. I'll just read out the blurbs of both of them for you guys now. The first of the 2 is I Was Born for This. For Angel, life is about one thing: the Ark, a pop rock trio of teenage boys taking the world by storm. Being part of the Ark's fandom has given her everything she loves: her friend Juliet, her dreams, her place in the world. Jimmy owes everything to the Ark. He's their frontman, and playing in a band with his mates is all he ever dreamed of doing. But dreams don't always turn out the way you think, and when Jimmy and Angel are unexpectedly thrust together, they find out how strange and surprising facing up to reality can be. So from all the things that I know about this book, it focuses mainly on fandom culture and what are all the great things about it and also some of the downsides in it. I've seen some of those things discussed in Radio Silence also, and they were very true. Since it is a major portion of this book, I think it will be explored even further here. Next we have Loveless. Georgia has never been in love, never kissed anyone, never even had a crush. But as a fanfic-obsessed romantic, she's sure she'll find her person one day. As she starts university, Georgia makes a plan to find love. But when her actions wreak havoc among her friends, she questions why romance seems so easy for other people, yet not for her. With new terms thrown at her, asexual, aromantic, Georgia is more uncertain about her feelings than ever. Is she destined to remain loveless, or has she been looking for the wrong thing all along? This wise, warm, and witty story of identity and self-acceptance sees Alice Oseman on towering form as Georgia and her friends discover that true love isn't limited to romance. That blurb itself sounds very heartwarming, and I know that this book has asexual and aromantic representation very well done in it. Since the author themselves are asexual and aromantic, I think it will be very much more personal compared to all of the other books. So let's just wait and see how this is going to go. we've seen all the 10 fiction books now, and I have 4 non-fiction books, of which the first one is The Courage to be Disliked by Ichiro Kimishi and Fumitake Koga. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing the author's names wrong because I'm not sure how they are pronounced. Now this book is a philosophical book in which it is written in a style of a conversation between a philosopher and a young man, and I think the title of the book itself explains clearly what the intention of the book is. The motto of the book is to make us understand that there are no limitations for anything that we want to do in our lives. It might feel like we are limited and restricted to do some things either by our own mind or by others' opinions and thoughts on us, but the fact that any of those things don't matter is the core concept of this book. The main reason why I want to read this is because my brother listened to the audiobook of this one a few months back, and ever since he finished it, he's been wanting me to read it because he said that it is just awesome and I will like it. It is also a Japanese translated work, so I am very excited to get this one also. It is pretty short, so I think I'll be reading it soon. The next one is an Indian self-help book, and it is Life's Amazing Secrets by Gaur Gopal. It is also the author's debut book. I watched a lot of motivational videos of Gaur Gopal before, and I found all of them very positive and encouraging in many ways. And I think this book was published 1 or 2 years back, and I got to know about it last year only from one of the videos that I saw on YouTube. It sounded very light-hearted, at the same time motivational, in a way which is not pushy but very gentle. I usually like books like that because they make me do stuff compared to the books which stress things upon us and expect very high-ended results just by doing some very meager tasks. I understand that each and every non-fiction book is very different in its approach, and every author has a different style of writing when it comes to non-fiction, because some people go a very light way and some people go the hard way, and I personally like both of the ways, but the lighter way always seems a bit more approachable for me. Since the author himself is a monk as well as a motivational speaker, I know that it is going to be a bit spiritual also when it comes to articulating all the concepts in this book. I myself am a spiritual person, so I think this book will gel with me really well. Again, this one is also very short, so I think I'll be reading it really soon. The last 2 books in this book haul are spiritual books, and they are both by Sadhguru. The first one is Karma, a yogi's guide to crafting your destiny, and the other one is Adiyogi, the source of yoga, both by Sadhguru. Again, I don't think I'll be able to articulate the content of these books without reading them properly, so I'm just going to read the description for you guys. First, I'll read out the description of karma. A much used word, karma is loosely understood as a system of checks and balances in our lives, of good actions and bad deeds, of good thoughts and bad intentions. A system which seemingly ensures that at the end of the day, one gets what one deserves. This grossly oversimplified understanding has created many complexities in our lives and taken away from us the very fundamentals of the joy of living. Through this book, not only does Sadhguru explain what karma is and how we can use its concepts to enhance our lives, he also tells us about the sutras, a step-by-step guide to navigating our way in this challenging world. In the process, we get a deeper, richer understanding of life and the power to craft our destinies. So I think I'm going to have a really different idea of karma after reading this one, because the blurb of the book itself suggests that karma is not like a math equation using which we can just add some things on one side and get the exact same results on the other side. The things that I heard about this book are very different from what I had in mind, so I'm definitely very interested to read it as soon as I can. Now let's see Adiyogi. Shiva does not spell religion. Shiva spells responsibility, our ability to take our own life process in our hands. Shiva is that which is not, a primordial emptiness. Shiva is also the first ever yogi, Adiyogi, the one who first perceived this emptiness. Adiyogi is symbol and myth, historic figure and living presence, creator and destroyer, outlaw and ascetic, cosmic dancer and passionate lover, all at once. A book like no other, this extraordinary document is a tribute to Shiva, the Adiyogi, by a living yogi, a chronicle of the progenitor of mysticism by a contemporary mystic. Here science and philosophy merge seamlessly, so do silence and sound, question and answer, to capture the unspeakable enigma of Adiyogi in a spellbinding wave of words and ideas that will leave one entranced, transformed. The main reason why I want to read this book is not just because of Adiyogi, but also because of the fact that this book has some extracts about the Dhyana Linga, which is consecrated inside the Isha Yoga Center in Coimbatore by Sadhguru, and I think this book will help me with that. So yes guys, those are all the 14 books which I bought during the Prime Day sale, and I'm sure that I'm going to read all of these as soon as I can. If you read any of these books, please do let me know down in the comments how they are and what I can expect from them. And if you did enjoy watching today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also share it to your friends. If you want to get more content from me, do subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.